Good morning, everyone. Nick Barris here. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. It is Tuesday. We have a good show on tap for you. Come on, pick up the phone. Give us a call if you think we can help you. We're going to be talking this morning about malpractice. You know, our regular segment every month that we do, that raising the question, do you feel that you've ever been wronged by a doctor or a hospital? Do you think you have a potential case? They are fascinating cases. They can be difficult to prove, and there are a lot of things you need to know about going after a case like that. And I think it's becoming more and more difficult to sue just under some of the tort law changes that are happening, not just here in Tennessee, but across the country. But it can still happen, and you have a right to seek, you know, I think some justice in court if you feel you've been wronged. And we're going to talk about it this morning with our guest, one of the best malpractice attorneys, if not just in the state, but the entire country, Clint Kelly.
Good morning.
How are you? It's good to have you
Did you
on.
have a good July 4th?
I did. Good. I did. How about you?
Yeah, real good one.
Just blew off fireworks in the backyard?
Yeah, and enjoyed the show. The show on the west side of town was real pretty.
Okay.
Downtown was amazing.
Unbelievable.
Might be the best in the country now.
Biggest, that's for sure. The thing. Did you see where one of the shells went into the football stadium?
Yeah, I heard about that.
It hit my seats. Did you know?
Really?
No.
Oh yeah.
I did see. You know, those explosives are something else. It not only wiped out the seat, but Sky 5 got a shot where you could see it actually broke through the concrete underneath it, and there's a gap they're going to have to fix there. I mean, it's not some structural problem, but those shells are something else.
Well,
leave it to the professionals.
Titans can afford it, Nick, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'd say so. This is Clint Kelly. We're going to open up the phone lines, but we'll kind of lay some of the groundwork for you. 737-7587. You're a malpractice attorney. We start off the show always with a chance to say, what is malpractice? What is a malpractice case?
Yeah, medical malpractice is a major medical mistake that causes a major medical injury. That's the best way I know to define it.
How do you prove it?
You prove it by getting an expert to come to court and testify that the healthcare provider departed from the standard of care, meaning they did not follow the proper medical protocol under the circumstances, and that caused the patient's injury. Your typical major medical mistake that causes a major medical injury would be operating on the wrong body part, causing a damage to the spine, which can lead to paraplegia, causing some type of surgical misadventure that may lead to an amputation, failure to diagnose a heart attack or some other type of life-threatening condition. Those are your typical cases, that kind of case I like to handle. Also cases where there's a failure to treat or diagnose a blood clot that leads to a death.
How long have you been at this?
This will be my 23rd year. 23rd year.
All right. In that time, and you've seen all manner of cases, do you think we are seeing more wrongs occurring, malpractice? Now, aside from the laws changing, I'm not asking you if there are more malpractice cases. I'm asking if you're seeing more problems coming into the hospitals and doctors doing things wrong than in the past, or is it better now, the quality of care?
I'm seeing more cases, more claims are being brought to my attention. I think there are two reasons for this. First of all, is I think there are more patients entering into the healthcare system, and the system has a limited supply of healthcare providers who can handle those patients. And as we talked about the profit motive, there is so much pressure now on doctors and nurses to provide patient income through procedures and through hospital stays that they are, in my opinion, cutting corners. That's the first part of this. The second part of this is, nowadays I'm seeing cases that people used to keep secret. I think 25 years ago when I started, people were much more hesitant to bring a medical malpractice claim because of concern that, you know, they might upset their own doctor or they might lose their health care if they brought it to the attention of a lawyer. Also, you and I have talked about before, it's in our DNA here, particularly in the South, that we tend to trust our doctors and not want to sue them.
Right.
Maybe it's a healthy skepticism of the court system, but in any event, a lot of that has dissipated over time because people now see the healthcare system as, in essence, a consumer-oriented business. That's what we're talking about now. And because it's a business, people have certain expectations about the type of care that they deserve. And when they don't get it, and particularly when they're injured badly by it or killed by it, they want to go get legal help. They want accountability.
It's interesting because I was just thinking about what you said. People may be a little more hesitant to want to sue a doctor just because they trust them, as opposed to you'd be real quick to sue a mechanic, for instance, that messed up your car and then you wrecked, or a roofer that did something. I mean, those things, but we're talking about your body and something that happened, but there's just an ingrained trust. And I think I feel that way too, for whatever reason, just as I feel like with law enforcement officers. I instantly have a certain level of respect that I afford them that maybe I don't some of these other positions.
Exactly.
And I don't think that's fair. I mean, everyone deserves respect, but I just have more, right?
I mean, you like your doctor, right?
Yeah.
And I like my doctor, and most patients that I know, most people I know like their own doctors. And somehow that gets transmuted into a sense of caution or apprehension when another doctor screws you up or screws a family member up, thinking, you know, do I really want to bring this case? Because there's a personal, like I said, there's a personal apprehension to doing that. But nowadays, I think people see the healthcare system as a business, and they're treating it more as a business. And so when, like you said, if your mechanic screws up your car, you know, of course you're going to go get legal accountability if you can. Your body's the most precious thing you have other than your soul. And so if you're going to have to do something about it, you go to court.
All right. You know, I knew you were coming on today, and I was watching a program last night, and it made me think of cases that could be out there. You ever watch the show Botched?
Oh, yeah.
All right, Botched, I forget what cable channel this is, but it's just botched plastic surgeries. A lot of the calls we get are folks that, you know, maybe had heart surgeries and real very serious things. These are botched plastic surgeries. A lot of times implants, wherever they may be, chest, rear end, calf, shoulders. I mean, bad stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what were you going to say? I know.
Well, I know it's on the Bravo channel.
Okay,
it's an offshoot of these, the Housewives series. You know, Housewives of Beverly Hills. In fact, I think that's one of the doctors was a husband of one of the housewives. But in any event, you're right. It's all these, particularly plastic surgery.
Fascinating to watch.
Misadventures, and of course, there's an element of freakishness in it, circus, you know, element to it. But there are also legitimate cases where people had their procedures botched. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And it's amazing the extent to which some of these patients will, the things they'll do to try to enhance their cosmetic appearance, and when it goes south, they have to turn to these guys in Beverly Hills to fix them, or at least make their condition tolerable. Do
the best they can. It is fascinating. I'm addicted to it. You know, I've been watching it for a long time, and I click it and I go, what on earth? Now, you've handled some cases. In fact, you and I did a story on one where there was one of your clients who had a botched breast job.
That's correct. Breast job that was botched, and the other claim was that it was a battery where the patient didn't give full authorization to what the physician did during the surgery. So there was sort of a mix of malpractice and a battery case. And that
what do you mean battery? You mean that
meaning that there was no authorization for the actual procedure that the doctor performed.
That is just so outside the realm. Meaning that in this case, and I remember, you know, the allegation was that this doctor just went and did what he felt he wanted to do without running it by the. I mean, just did it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm satisfied from the proof, Nick, that the doctor got mixed up. And remember, we talked about the higher number volume of patients coming in the healthcare system.
And he thought he was with a different patient.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a classic example of what happens when a provider tries to do too much with too little time, trying to keep their income up, and then bam, you know, patients get mixed up, like the baby got operated on by mistake. Those things are going to continue to happen so long as providers are cutting corners to try to keep their income up.
But I don't see it changing, do you? I mean, in terms of, you go to any hospital these days, especially the emergency rooms, and they're packed. They're packed most of the time. And then you walk around, I go over there, I'm amazed, okay, and knock on wood, and you too, you know, and people I know, I'm blessed, I have friends that are sick, but in general, I'm amazed at how many sick people there are out there, and I sympathize with them. But I mean, the hospitals are packed. You go to Vanderbilt's, and you know, one of the most respected hospitals, there are a lot of people there. Right? And you know.
Then you got to ask yourself a question, Nick, with all of this business coming into the hospitals and all this increased income that's coming in with it, where's the money going? Where's the money to build the new wings? Where's the money to hire new staff? Where's the money to get physicians help or physician assistants to come in and help these doctors with these additional patients? Where's the money going?
Is that because they're paying such high premiums for malpractice
insurance?
No,
it's not that.
I know
it's definitely not that. I don't know what it is, but there's something. You have to ask yourself a question: where is all that money going?
Well, what is it? The private managers, operators of these hospitals are making a fortune.
I'm not in the business end of it, but I ask myself that question: there's got to be so much money now flowing into these hospitals. Where is it all going? How is it being allocated to accommodate the increased demand or business that these hospitals and providers are getting?
Was it the massive cost that's passed to them for the equipment, the drugs, and everything else? Could that be part of it?
Nick, I don't know. Do you see any new hospitals being built?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have an answer to that because that's a business question. But from a care question, all I can do is focus on what the law requires. And the law basically says, if you're going to treat somebody, you treat them right, or you don't treat them at all.
Yeah, I agree. All right, listen, we're going to take a break on that note. We've got the lines open. We've got a couple calls coming in. The number 737-7587. As you sit back there and think to yourself, all right, do you know someone? Do you have a question? And it's not just, obviously cosmetic surgery. You've handled cases with folks that have gotten wrong medicines, okay, as well as, conditions of someone who went in and perhaps passed away after having a bad result from a surgery. Is it the doctor's fault, or is it something they just couldn't avoid? Give us a call if you want to join in the conversation. Back with Clint Kelly, as well as when we come back, something very important you need to know about seeking a case like this. You don't want to sit and take time and let it pass. We'll be back with more right after this.